Hey guys, it's Mark, and I thought I would make some sauce for you today. Everybody's been asking me about cooking lessons, so I thought, well, I might as well just make something and post it on the blog, and that way you'll get a recipe and a cooking lesson at the same time. So what I'm going to start off with is making sauce, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to turn my pan on. It's going to be on medium-high, and I'll let it warm up while I chop the onions. What I like about making my own sauce, I know you can buy it in the grocery store, but it's better for you to make your own. It doesn't have as many chemicals, it doesn't have as many preservatives in it, and I just think it's fresher tasting. I mean, you can kind of control the ingredients you want to control. You don't have to worry about, things you don't want in your sauce, and it's simple. It doesn't really take a lot of time or energy to make sauce. So I peeled the onion, and now you're going to dice it. Make sure you keep your hand up. Just got a couple slices across lengthwise here, and then we'll go down into little strips. What I'm doing is dicing the onion. Tuck your fingers underneath. You don't want fingertips in your onions. That would be awful. And you're just going to give it a little chop here. It goes by pretty quick, and there's no tears if you have a sharp knife, and it goes fast. There we go, that's one half. Do the same with the other. When I was in Italy, Nona would always tell me to smaller. Piccolo, piccolo, Marco, small, small, small. Of course, I tried my best, but I was always doing everything too big for her. So, that's the onion getting chopped. When you get to the end, just turn it on its side like this, and then you can just chop it in small pieces that way. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's homemade. Great. So that is done. I don't think my pan's quite hot enough yet, so I'm going to start on the garlic. I'm going to need 2 cloves. I like using big cloves, so I'll break off 2 big cloves. When you do garlic, I know on the cooking shows they always like crush the garlic, like they have to be brutal with it. You don't. You can just give it a little whack to pull the skin off, and it should come right off. That was pretty easy, wasn't it? The next thing I think you should really know is that in Italy they don't use garlic like we think they use garlic. Sometimes when they're making a dish, Italians, they'll put it in just like this. They'll crush it a little bit and throw it in the sauce, and it will infuse the flavor, but it won't give you a really strong garlic taste. Other times when you want more flavor, they'll slice it, and that way you can still see the garlic when you're eating the dish and you can pick it out. If you want a lot of garlic flavor in a dish, then you go ahead and mince it. That crushes more cells in the garlic and actually releases more flavor. I think my pan should be hot, so I'm going to add some olive oil to it. I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I don't know anybody that ever measures anything. Let's call that 2. We'll put that in. Get that going here. Okay, let's put the onion in. There you go. That's what you want to hear when you put food into a pan. You want to make sure that it is sizzling. That way you know it's cooking. So we're going to stir this around. And what we'll do is I'm going to turn the heat up on this actually a little bit. Kind of stir it and get everything coated so that it's working well. You know, it's funny, I'm sitting here making this video and I'm looking at myself when I should be looking at you while I'm doing this video. You know, that's the fun of doing it at home and being casual. So, we're going to let that start to saute, and we're going to slice the garlic. If your onions, while they're cooking, tend to get too hot or start to get cooking too fast, you can always add a little chicken broth or a little water. What that'll do is, it'll keep them from browning too fast. Sometimes onions, if they brown too fast, get a bitter flavor, and one of Nona's secrets was to add a little water. I actually have some extra chicken stock from stuff I was making yesterday, so actually I think I'm going to add that here, and that way the onions will saute, but they'll also kind of simmer or parboil in a way. Let me get the chicken stock here. We'll just put a little bit in. You don't want to put a lot, because what you always want to do is kind of cook. There we go. That's maybe a tablespoon, maybe, is what I put in there. Great. I'll just leave that here, come back to it, and chop the garlic. So, in this recipe, Nona actually minced the garlic, so now we get to whack it. well, let me do it this way. So we'll mince the garlic. Always try to keep your fingers tucked under so you don't hurt yourself. As I was saying earlier, when you cook garlic or slice garlic, sometimes Italians will put it in whole like this. Other times, if they just want a little flavor, they'll slice it like that. And what you can do then is you can pull those, throw those slices in big. So when you're eating the dish, you can actually see the garlic and pull it out to the side, so it's there for flavor. Actually, this we're actually going to put more. We're going to use it all of it in there so that everyone kind of eats it. You won't have to worry about kissing anybody. We're all eating the same dish, so we'll all smell like garlic, so it'll be good. Get this a little finer. When you're cooking, it's always important to remember that besides cooking with your eyes, you also want to cook with your ears, or your hands too, I guess, since I'm chopping stuff. But the best thing about cooking with your ears is that you can tell when something's starting to cook too much. I don't know if you can hear in the video, but right now you can hear the onions kind of sauteing. The more they lose their liquid, the louder they'll get, and you'll be able to hear that they're frying, which is what you don't want. So I'm going to go over here and add just a little more broth, because I can hear that they're kind of, there you go. So that way you know that they were getting cooking a little fast. They were frying more than they were sauteing in a sense. So add a little more broth there. We're going to let that cook down. We're going to let that reduce. What we want is the flavor of the chicken broth. We don't necessarily want it to be real soupy. I'm going to add the garlic next. The most important thing you want to remember about garlic is that you don't want the garlic to cook too fast or burn, because if it burns it gets really bitter, and that's never a good thing. The most important thing I think with this is just to keep everything moving. You can hear as it kind of gets to a hot spot in the pan. So we've got 1 onion here, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I put in 2 heads of garlic, or excuse me, 2 cloves of garlic. Please don't use 2 heads of garlic, that would be awful. Well, maybe, you know, if you want to keep your neighborhood vampire away from you, you can use 2 heads of garlic. Mamma mia. Anyway, so this is cooking. Most of the liquid has evaporated now inside of this dish. If you can see, there's not a lot in there. You can kind of hear it going. Those onions look great. So what I'm going to do now is add about half a cup of wine. And I just happen to have white wine left over from last night. If you have red wine, you can add red wine to the dish. If you want, I'm actually going to throw a cork in the vase. That's how we get so many vases, or corks. It's a lot of pasta. Anyway,